Hey, Patreon's supporters, thanks for joining us for the spoiler talk for Vultures, the final book in the Miriam Black series. We were a little scarce. Sorry, that sparse? A little Spartan over in the regular review. Not a lot to talk about because I think a lot of the meat of the story is spoilery.
Sparse?
So yeah, I've got a bunch of thoughts,
Sparse.
and I'm interested to see where this discussion goes. But I think I'd start out by saying I think the way that Chuck incorporated eating the heart of what's her name, Harriet, into taking her power over, which was kind of something that so much was going on at the end of Raptor and the Wren. I didn't even really consider that. So when she started being like healing super fast and everything, you knew exactly what was going on right away. But it was like, oh shit, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that was so
And
fucking
that comes
hardcore.
into significant play in this book, not just in her healing, and it happens off screen for us, but when she eats Abraham's heart. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So not only is Abraham a medium, right, but he has the ability to trap spirits in other bodies, or animals, I guess is how it's introduced to us. So that happens off screen. But yeah, I'm gonna say this on the regular podcast, but I do want to say it here. Look, I like this book, but I'm really, really glad he's done. I think,
Right.
I'm even questioning, like, did he maybe go one book too long? Should he have wrapped this up kind of in the previous one? Because a lot of these types of books, like when you get into supernatural books, just go and go and go while people are buying them. So I believe, and I've never read, but the Sookie Stackhouse novels, even the TV show True Blood, which is loosely based on them, went on for too long. Like, you have to keep introducing these new characters and these new abilities and stuff in order to keep it progressing. That was a big part of this. So what you caught was she ate a heart, she could heal faster, she eventually gains the ability to trap spirits in another body. The trespasser now can take control of living bodies whenever he wants. Like the eventual ramping up, add that to the fact that she can control
Well, the
birds,
parlor tricks and stuff would overshadow
continues
the
to escalate.
storytelling
and I
and
gotta tell you,
the
2 or 3 books from now, this would be
character-driven
fucking
stuff.
unreadable.
Yeah, for sure. And
At
that's
the rate at
that'll
which
come
it's
up
going.
probably in my wrap up a little bit too. But in as much as he went there, I liked how he went there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it all fit. So I don't have a lot to pick apart about this book from the structure and the plot, other than little convenient on having Abraham around as a way to, like, she meets this guy who has the ability. But other than that, it was fine. The other nitpicky thing I have,
Which is
that,
funny because I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in previous reviews, like, you were kind of a champion of her, like,
about everything. I
bitchiness.
found it a little more
Like, I feel like it was like endearing to you in the
than I
past.
remember finding it previously.
Yep. Easily, yeah.
Yeah, yep. You know what, I do, but I think again that's what are we at? 6 books, 1,400 pages. Yeah, I mean, it starts to get to you, to me, after a while. You know what I mean? So she softened a little bit the whole pregnancy thing in here because we're on spoiler talk. I really like the scene with her kid at the end where her kid has her ability and she's got to kind of manage that. And it seemed like, even though she, her kid swears because she swears, like, he got that in there. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that's a nice little homage to the character that she was.
Well, here's my thought on the whole daughter
and tidy. Like I said, these are kind of nitpicky things. And like I said, both of them were tedium due to,
at first I didn't like the idea.
Might have been one too many
because
books.
It was never a good thing for Miriam. It always just brought problems, right? But like in thinking about it, that is the best way to set up a Miriam redemption, where like she always felt like, she had a shitty mother who never helped her through anything that was going on in her life. She can be the good mother because she knows what the daughter's going through. she can give her daughter a better chance at a good life. Like, so it's like it's her chance to do things the right way is the setup at the end of the book, which I didn't see it that way, and I wasn't super excited about the fact that the daughter got the powers, but thinking of it like that, I like the way that it ended.
Yeah, yeah, maybe I had like a little bit of an eye roll at first, but yeah, when I thought about it, and then they mentioned Gabby again, like she's still with Gabby, who's a super caring person. Miriam can help her,
Yeah.
Not just by being a good mother, but by somebody who had those abilities, much like she does in that situation where she the daughter touches the kid and sees that the guy in the yellow raincoat or whatever drowns her or whatever it was, so that she would have guidance and she would have loving, caring people in her life. And she's 5 now, which means Gabby's been around for 6 years.
Yep.
I felt
Stability.
okay about it. Yeah, I felt, and like I said, Gabby is fucking ridiculous as far as what she'll put up with for someone that she loves. So Miriam's more likely to bail on her kid than Gabby is, I think.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, talking about Gabby, that I really appreciated about this book was the twist where you discover that the reason she killed herself is because she was inhabited by the trespasser, that she would never have done it on her own volition. That was really kind of chilling to me when it was revealed that that's why. When Miriam figured it out, I was like, oh shit. Because not only does that maintain the integrity of the character of Gabby, it doesn't make her a weak person, but it also like just kind of turns everything on its head. And like, yeah, I just thought that was really well done. That was a good twist.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to imagine that he had a lot of this mapped out already.
Yeah.
Because Gabby introduced to us 2 books ago, right? Or was it just in the last one? I feel like it might have been towards the end of 2 books ago.
Yeah, she was in Thunderbird, I think.
Yeah, so that's you know what I mean. So like he had to have a long-term plan for that, or some really quick thinking.
Yeah.
At some point, where he's like, I have to address this, because that's really the power of Miriam's inability to help people. Right? Is that they die where there's no bad guy.
Yep. Yeah.
She even addressed in this, like keeping Gabby from killing herself means she has to kill Gabby. Like,
right.
There's no solution. Like her baby dying, she doesn't see what happens, but she knows there's not an antagonist that causes it to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like that was well done. And, I guess the weak part for me was bringing back a Caldecott. So like just kind of going back to the well of this crazy serial killer family again. I didn't really care for that so much, but it kind of maintained a little bit of consistency through the whole series. Same, and the fact that Alejandro was from that cartel. Not sure if I'm 100% on how all those pieces fit together. So we could probably talk about this a little bit. Sure. But Alejandro is from the cartel, which was from Raptor and the Red, right?
Yeah. So he was going to kill. He was the guy who was supposed to kill. I don't remember what he was.
Ethan,
the leader of the weird patriotic group of. And the reason I think that fits is Caldecott's part of the organization. Quotation marks.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting group, right? Because they're a group that are out there that are trying to stop people who fuck with fate, like Miriam Black. So really, what I read into it, he basically says it is that this whole thing was set up so that Miriam would come to them.
Yeah, it was a trap
because they want to put they want to put her out of business. So, the fact that he comes from a family, because the whole Caldecott family had powers, makes some sense. Alejandro makes some sense because he really was there to kill that guy in the last book. Because of his powers. Yeah. So, it does tie together. I don't know that from an overarching plot that it tied together for us as neatly as I think it probably did in his head, if that makes sense. Like, he's got a grasp of the whole world. to him, I think the pieces fit together more neatly than it did for me, and probably from you, just based on what you said.
Well, and that bears talking about too, because we've been reading this series for 6 years. If someone had just binged through all 6 books in one shot, maybe the story would be a little bit more cohesive, because I can't tell you how much stuff I forgot. So it might fit all together better if everything was more fresh in our heads.
Sure.
But I guess my overall impression of the way that Wendig did tie together pieces from earlier plot is that I thought it was all very smartly done. This Starfucker killer not just being some other random serial killer that gets thrown into Miriam's life, but rather a trap to lure her, to stop her. That's better writing than if it was just Miriam gets caught up in another serial killer situation. So I appreciated the way that he tied it together that way.
The funny part about this book is that we had 6 different people with different powers in it, right? So you've got Miriam, obviously. You've got we already talked about Abraham the medium. David and Julie, the FBI agents, both have powers. Emerson has a power. Alejandro has a power, right? No, Alejandro does not have a power.
Right. But Caldecott does.
But they're all so subtle and underused.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, Miriam's the only one who legit uses her power. Julie's power is she has a good feeling about Miriam going on her own. It's literally one throwaway line in the whole book.
Yep.
David's power is once he's met you, he's like human GPS for you. He can find you. But again, they're just little dismissed. Oh, I have this little power. You know what I mean? So he introduces 4 other characters with powers, all that could total playtime in the book for all the powers is 3 paragraphs.
Which the funny thing, and this was something that I wasn't sure if I was going to remember to bring up, but the kid with that fucking awesome power from the earlier from, was it Thunderbird, I guess? No, Raptor and the Wren. Yeah, it's all, I'm talking about, that kid who just fucking kill you with his mind.
Yep.
Doesn't make an appearance at all. And it's one of those
because he's been they mentioned that he's been tucked away with a friend of Gabby's or
Gabby's
something,
sister.
Right? Somewhere. Yeah.
Which he's acknowledged, but I feel like that's one of those what is that, whoever's law, if you introduce a gun in the first whatever, you have to use it, that kind of thing. So you can't just drop that kid in and be we visited him and everything's okay and he's eating cereal at breakfast. You'd have to use him to psychic murder people. So I kind of wanted to see that kid again, but it made sense that he didn't make an appearance.
Yeah. Well, because I think and that may have been part of the plan. And again, I'm spitballing, right? But then you have to figure out a way to stop him. What could block? You have to almost create a whole,
a counterbalance.
Yeah. So, all in all, I think he wrapped it up well. I actually really like the stuff at the end. I like the jumping 5 years in the future as a neat way to tie it off. And again, I'm with you. Will there never be another Miriam Black book? Sure, maybe. Unless it does get picked up as a TV series somewhere along the line, and Wendig can put a bunch of dollars in his pocket, right? But the nice thing is, it gives you real closure. If the book would have ended with her getting her daughter, holding her in her arms at the hospital, I don't know if it would have felt as done as it does with the flash forward.
Yes, and there's one thing that we didn't mention yet, which is the appearance of Ren. And how Ren saved Miriam in the hospital.
True, yeah.
And that was great too, because when you basically had Miriam 2.0 in Ren, and it was good that he didn't bring Ren into this book very much at all, except for at the end as kind of a punctuation on that story. She had a good moment, and the way that she was introduced, the door to the bathroom opens and there's Miriam, young Miriam, and then she realizes, oh, that's Ren. And then Ren just fucking straight up murders someone and bails. Mm-hmm. But she had that little quick, I'm sorry moment. Very well done.
Yeah. Speaking of which, and I'm glad you said that you brought that up, because it brought up another thing for me. As I was trucking through this book, God damn it, there's that whole none of this happened. Miriam's a teenager again.
Yeah, the fake out, the psychic fake out.
I was like,
you were
I am
so
going
mad.
to shit all over this book and rescind every fucking star I've given if this is the best he could do.
I knew that you were going to be upset about that. I had the physical book, so I could tell based on how many pages were left what was going on.
Yeah. Well, but it was at like the 85% mark, right? Yeah. So I was like, well, there could still be, and I didn't skip forward to see, books do weird shit, right? Here's the first chapter from my next book, that kind of stuff where it ends. A lot of times I'll send you, hey, this book ends at 89% just to let you know, like, how much time you have left to read. And I was like, oh, if this is the best he could fucking do, I was going to 0-star this motherfucker, swear to God.
Yep. Yeah. No, I wasn't worried about that being the case. Like, I thought it would be very, very unlikely that Wendig would do that kind of thing.
Well, that's why I would have been so disappointed, too. Yeah. If this was a regular book I was reading by someone I didn't know, I'd have been like, wow, what a fucking cop-out garbage. Dude, But
imagine a situation where, like, there was a misprint in the books, or, like, there was an error, and, like, the last couple chapters got lost, and people thought that's how the book actually ended.
I had a copy of Hell's Half Acre.
Yep.
That, in talking to someone online about the ending of the book, I found out was not the ending of the book, and it was missing like 18 pages or something, some kind of weird batch that went out. Yeah. So that would have been something. Anything else you want to cover before we head back and do our wrap up?
I think that's everything really significant to talk about. I like the fact that she went to the place in Hawaii that the FBI agent said was like the farthest away from people. Mm-hmm. That was kind of nice. But otherwise, no, I think we covered the good stuff. So let's go wrap this up.
Hey, Patreon contributors, thank you again so much for allowing us to do this in the lap of luxury due to your contributions, or at least so we don't have to pay for like web hosting and stuff ourselves. So we appreciate you guys. We love you. Lots more to come this year.